Hey guys, it's me. Thanks for coming back to my channel. Before we start the video for today, I want to address the elephant in the room. I thought about whether or not I should do this, and I figured that if I didn't say anything, then I would be more complicit. So I wanted to let you know that I do not agree with Jo Rowling. I believe that trans women are women and trans men are men. I do believe that gender is fluid, but I do believe that since, you know, Jo's basically already got my money, I feel like it's okay for me to be able to revisit these books and these films, especially these films, because the films, yes, they may be associated with her, it may be her characters and her story, but there's so much that goes into these films with the writers and directors and makeup artists and costume designers and editing and sets and sound and music and all of that, and not even to mention the actors who completely portray their characters and the characters of the book in a completely different way. I feel like it's okay to go ahead and do these. But if you are one of the people who only ever watched the films and you wanted to read the books, but now you feel like you shouldn't or you can't, my suggestion would be to either buy secondhand or borrow them for someone, or if you want to, you can go down into the description and click on the link below. There is a link to audiobooks by Stephen Fry that have been completely put onto the internet for free. That's what I've been doing this last time around. I've been listening to the audiobooks. That way you are no longer supporting her, but you are also being able to get the content that you would like to consume. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say on this. I just wanted to address the elephant in the room, and let's get back to our regularly scheduled programming. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. We are here for another read and react, and guess what? It's 2021. The year is over. Yay. If you can't tell from today, we are going to be watching Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or the Philosopher's Stone, depending on wherever you are in the world. I just want to remark on that for a minute, because a lot of, I would say a lot of Brits, but a lot of people in general give Americans flack for not knowing what in the hell a philosopher is, and honestly, when I think about it, philosophers to Americans are more like Greek academias, you know, Plato and Aristotle and all the Greek names that you think of. Sorcerer to Americans is definitely more magical, so just gonna go ahead and get that out of the way. So today is gonna be the Sorcerer's Stone / Philosopher's Stone, and as you can see, I'm wearing my Harry Potter sweater. My mother owns the Ron sweater, so I only thought it was fitting to wear this one. I wish I had my own sweater with my own initial on it. I usually don't like monograms, but this, I'm okay with this knitting, so for now I guess I'll just have to stick to my mug of coffee. Well, it's tea. I lied. Why did I say coffee? I've been thinking about coffee lately, and I drink tea more than I do coffee these days. Anyway, so as you can see, I made a lot of notes, but I went and highlighted things that I wanted to talk on. I probably should have done that for Lord of the Rings, so I learned from my lessons. But here we are, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. So off the bat, here is the first biggest change. In the book, it starts off with the Dursleys, especially Vernon Dursley. He goes about his day, and there are celebrations everywhere of Voldemort being defeated, and talking about all of this kid named Harry and the Potters, and he's going through and thinking, oh my god, is this my nephew? I don't know. I don't even know if his name is Harry, and all this stuff, and they go about his day, and then towards the end of the chapter is when it cuts to this beginning for the film. Now, from a written perspective, from the book, I understand why it starts with the Dursleys, because it's like, you know, this is the mortal, human, muggle realm, and it helps the reader to get a sense of, like, you know, there's other stuff that's going on. I wonder what's going on, and you go into, and then you're exposed to this world, whereas here it's just like, you know that this shit's about magic, and we're just gonna throw the magic at you from, like, the first minute. I mean, Dumbledore's using the Deluminator here, or the Put-Outer, whatever you want to call it. He's using it here, and you're like, yes, we are going to start off this magic, and then freaking McGonagall turns into a cat. We're like, let's get the ball rolling. I do like how Hagrid brings him to the Dursleys, and then he also takes him away. Spoilers. Bum, 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 bum. all of the Dursleys are supposed to be blonde, but it doesn't bother me. I think they're all perfectly placed.
How many are there?
36. Counted them myself.
36, but last year I had them 37.
Yes, well, some of them are quite a bit bigger than last year.
I don't care how big they are.
He's such a brat. Oh my god.
Okay, so I think in the book, Dudley has a friend that goes with him, and the only reason why Harry goes with them to the zoo is because Mrs. Fig, the lady with all the cats, as far as he knows, is the lady with all the cats, across the street, broke her foot, I think, and so she couldn't take care of him that day, because he usually stayed with her whenever they did something, because they did not want to take him along. Because weird stuff happens when they take him. And I think they also changed the type of the snake. I think this is a boa constrictor. I think it's a python in the book or something. I don't remember. I love the vanishing glass. So this part is different in the book because Dudley doesn't get stuck behind the glass. Yeah. The glass vanished and Dudley and his friend Peeves back up. They don't fall through. I honestly think that this is brilliant. I think this is a good change. I really like that he falls through the glass and then he gets stuck behind it. That is hilarious. That is wonderful. That is better than just the glass vanishing. So, tick 1 for the movies that I approve of changes. I love that double take. He's like,
The f***? How did you know where I slept?
yeah, in the film it doesn't really show too terribly much. They know he's living under the cupboard and it scares Petunia. So they give him Dudley's second bedroom, and then he gets a letter addressed to that bedroom. And then the letters just keep coming and coming and coming because the Dursleys won't answer them and they're not doing anything about it. And I think there was some deleted scenes where Petunia is opening up eggs, and every egg she opens up there's a letter inside of the eggs. And I mean, they were harassed by these letters. It was great. I'm sorry, he's like flying and trying to catch one that's in the air. Pick one off of the floor. Like, run to your room and pick up one closest to the door. Honestly, don't even stop at your room. Run outside and like haul ass. And see, in the book, they go everywhere. They travel so far and the letters keep following them. And then Vernon's like, there's no way they're gonna find us on this stupid rock. It's just so menacing, and then they're just like, sorry about that. It's like, I am a giant, but I am a friendly giant. Please do not be bothered.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I'm a what? I'm sorry, this movie is so iconic. I love it.
Of course we knew. How could you not be? My perfect sister being who she was.
What is really sad is that the movies don't go into anything about Petunia, but the books do. And so, like, Petunia wanted to be a witch. She wrote to Dumbledore and was like, please take me, please, please, please take me. She wanted anything in the world to go there. And he told her no because she didn't have any abilities. That's kind of why she's bitter towards her sister, because she wanted to be that as well. Her sister was now special and it made her less special and all that, so it's really sad.
Harry Potter.
Okay. So, there's this thing where apparently a loophole was fixed with Professor Quirrell. Apparently there's like some plot hole element going on of how Quirrell shook Harry's hand in the book at the beginning and then he can't bear to touch him at the end and that's how he dies. Like, in the book, he shakes his hand, he's already been to Albania, and then he goes and does all his mess. And then the mention of the turban is first talked about in the Sorting Feast, whereas in the movie they just went ahead and gave him the turban. That way the turban didn't just miraculously show up and be like an off thing. So that's why he doesn't like shake his hand, which I thought was cool. And then when they go into Diagon Alley, first off, the score. Anything John Williams does is just so iconic. It becomes, yeah, you could say pop culture or like cult classic kind of stuff. It's just, this man, it has always bothered me because he looks like Warwick Davis. And it's always bothered me because the next guy, this one, the guy who takes them to the vault, sounds like Warwick Davis.
Lamp, please.
But here on my little handy-dandy phone, I looked up on Wikipedia on the filmography page. It is him. He is the bank teller, and he is also Griphook and Professor Flickwick. And I'm like, yes, just, you've got Warwick Davis, shove him in. Put him in all of the things. It's fine. The last thing is, like, here, there's a scene missing from the book. In the book, Harry goes to Madame Malkin's to get fitted for his robes and everything, and he meets Draco there for the first time. They don't know each other's names, and you get a little exposition about the world and how, you know,
There's racism.
it's already there, laid out in front.
Hello?
And so now with John hurt, bless, rest in peace. Oh my god, there's a few people in here who have already died. It's so sad. Oh.
Sorry. But what's curious?
For the longest time when I was a kid, I'm not gonna lie, whenever he says, what's curious, I didn't realize that he was asking, like, what is curious about all this? I honestly thought that he was asking for the definition of curious. Okay, I was like six when this movie came out. For a very long time, I'm sorry to say that I was like, he's asking what's curious, but no one's giving him the definition of the word. Oh, I should be so ashamed of myself. Okay, here with Hagrid telling Harry the story about how his parents died. I like it better in the film because it makes it more intimate. It's just those two having a conversation. Whereas in the book, Hagrid tells him the story while they're still at that rock place with the Dursleys. And, like, I don't like that the Dursleys are just, like, there in the background and not really paying attention to this. Because they're not a part of this. And they're not a part of the conversation. So I like the change here. I like how it's just those two and it's, like, really quiet. And they're taking the time to let him absorb everything in. Plus, you know, flashbacks are great.
Voldemort started to gather some followers.
And no, as far as flashbacks goes, especially since, like, this scene in particular hadn't been written yet, it's pretty good. There's enough detail in it to understand and know, like, what exactly happened. I'm just really, really upset that the actual story was not in the last film. Should have been in the 7th film. Yeah, the 7th film. Okay, so this part in the film makes no sense because Hagrid's like, here's your ticket, I need to leave, and then he just leaves. He doesn't help Harry get to the platform. It makes no sense. In the book, it makes a lot more sense because Hagrid takes him back to the Dursleys and he stays there for a couple more weeks before term starts. And so he's got his ticket and everything, and then the Dursleys take him. They take him to the train station. They take him to King's Cross. And Harry asks Uncle Vernon, he says, where is this platform? And he goes, that platform? Oh, it doesn't exist. Bye! He just drives off and leaves him there. And I don't think he ever expected to come back for him. And then that's how he meets the Weasleys and all that mess.
Good luck.
No, it's his future wifey! Not movie Jenny, book Jenny. And in the book, you know, he gets all of his stuff on the trunk and he officially meets Fred and George. And they find out that he's Harry Potter, and they go to talk to their parents, and they're like, guess what? Guess who we met? Da, da, da. And they were telling them that they met Harry, and Molly was like, well, that makes sense as to why he was alone. He doesn't have anyone to show him how to do all this, and so she takes pity on him. Fred and George are like, oh, Mom, can we go and do all this? He was like, no, you most certainly will not. You don't need to ask him all these questions about Voldemort and all this stuff. And Ginny's like, I want to see him again. And she says, you've already seen him. She goes, yes, but that wasn't enough. Ginny is literally Harry's #1 fangirl. It's great. It's mentioned a little here, but in the book, there's a bit of more of a conversation about the struggle of money between Ron and Harry, because Ron's family can't really afford much and Harry's got shit tons of money, and so it's always been a conversation between both of them where it's gotten to the point where Harry knows how Ron feels because he spent 11 years pretty much in the same destitute kind of way, and then now he's got money and now he wants to be able to share it with his friends, and it's just so nice.
I've got Dumbledore.
I've got Helga Hufflepuff.
Are you sure that's a real spell? Well, it's not very good, is it?
She is just as pretentious in this film as she is in the book. She's annoying as shit.
I love it.
We'll soon find out that some wizarding families are better than others.
So, looking back, like, saying that I wish that the Madame Malkin scene was in it, but then it makes more sense because he's already got an established relationship with Ron now. So it makes more sense that he finds, I don't know. I like it both ways.
It's not real, the ceiling. It's just bewitched to look like the night sky. I read about it in Hogwarts, a history.
A book that Ron and Harry will never read.
Better be
Gryffindor! That's my house.
The picture's moving.
Did Ron just say the pictures were moving? He knows the pictures move. Ron is literally the window into the magical world. Like, he's the one who knows all this information. Not Hermione. Hermione may have read it, but Ron's lived it.
I can teach you how to bewitch the mind and ensnare the senses.
Okay, I'm just gonna throw this out here. I'm just saying that if they redid this, I vote for Adam Driver to be Snape. He's the perfect age. He's in his mid-30s. It would be great. And even if you became 40, you wouldn't be able to tell. Beautiful specimen.
Clearly, fame isn't everything, is it, Mr. Potter?
Clearly, Hermione knows the answer. And that's actually it's one of the deleted scenes, is that he comes back at him and says that, you know, clearly Hermione knows all this, and then Snape sits down and starts doing all this stuff, and he's like, why aren't you all copying this down? It's a really great moment. Seamus does not blow everything up in the books, but I love that his character got that. The thing is it is from the first movie all the way to the 8th movie. Every time something blows up, and it's a great payoff moment with something that's added in. I love it. Okay, so for any of you who had the computer game of this part of the computer game was so hard to do because you were trying to like get the ball and do all this. It was pretty much like a race between you and Malfoy almost, if I remember right. And you had to go around like 3 times and you had to get all this stuff. It was difficult. It took me forever to pass it. I wonder if I still have it. If I still have it, I may play it.
I think I'll leave it somewhere for Longbottom to find.
It came to my attention that Draco loses a lot of his charisma after the first 2 films, and I agree. He's not really in the rest of them that much until the 6th book. I honestly think that the filmmakers read one book at a time and just tried to adapt each one of them rather than reading them ahead of time and knowing where the story was going to be able to fold in everything at the same time. That's the part that bothers me. We'll get to that when we talk about Harry and Ginny. With this, they cut out the entire midnight duel because Malfoy and Harry were going to have a duel over Neville, I think. I think it was over the whole Remembrall thing. And they were going to have a duel. Malfoy doesn't show up because he only used it as a ploy to get them out of bed. And Harry and Ron go, but Hermione, I think, gets stuck outside of the common room because the password changes or something. I want to say Neville might have been with them as well. But I don't remember because they get back into the common room somehow. The fat lady left. That's why they couldn't get back in. And then Peeves! Oh my god, we've gone an hour and 4 minutes and I completely forgot to talk about Peeves. How terrible of me. That's why. They weren't running from Filch, they were running from Peeves. Students out of bed! Students in the corridors! That's what it was. Wow, Peeves the Poltergeist, I understand why he was cut, but he was great. He is definitely on my top 10 list of characters from the entire series. I love Peeves.
Now,
If you two don't mind, I'm going to bed before either of you come up with another clever idea to get us killed. Or worse, expelled. Y'all give Emma flack about this film. I don't give a f***. That is great delivery. It's great.
The ability to make objects
Fly! You know, I'm also still torn with Flitwick getting an upgrade in the 3rd movie.
she's a nightmare, honestly. No wonder she hasn't got any friends.
See, but the thing is like in this film, it makes it look like they've been together almost this entire time. Whereas in the book, I don't think Hermione's with them that much. That's what makes "What are friends for?" like a more powerful line later.
Turn around in the dungeon!
Thought you would know.
Malfoy's face. That's the best one. Malfoy's face is the best one. Okay, so in the book, they do go looking for Hermione, but they find the troll first. The troll goes into the bathroom, and then they lock it. They shut the door and they lock him in there. And then Hermione screams, and they're like, "Oh crap! She's been left in there! That's the bathroom she's in!" They accidentally locked Hermione in there. So the only right thing to do would be to save her and not mention that they accidentally locked her in there. Use your wand! Yeah, Harry! But actually cast a spell! God, that just makes my nose hurt.
Do something!
Pretty sure Ron tries to hit him with a,
Anything!
like one of the pieces of wood first, and then he uses magic.
Wingardium Leviosa!
Which is hilarious because he yells at Hermione about using magic the next time. It goes to show that, like, your reflexes, they're not ready to just automatically think of using their wands first because they don't know that much magic. And so their main reaction is to, like, do something else. You know, this movie does a really good job with the red herrings that Joe has. Because, you know, obviously it's Quirrell, but this film does a really good job at hiding Quirrell and showing that it was Snape the whole time. Thinking that it's Snape the whole time. There's a line, I think, it's a deleted scene, and Ron says, "What are friends for?" You know, and it's really sweet. But now, without that line, it's like, they're just friends now? Okay. You know, all three of them are actually very intelligent. I wrote this down, but they're all intelligent in their own ways. Like, Hermione's book smart, Ron is world smart, because he is supposed to be the lens that we look through to get information about the wizarding world. And then Harry has all these deductive reasoning qualities, which is really cool. So they're all pretty much on the, like, same intellectual level, just in different ways.
Hello and welcome to Hogwarts' first Quidditch game.
Lee Jordan. I love Lee Jordan. It sucks that you got completely, like, dismissed after the second movie. Is it just me, or do I just want her to say, "Moisturize me"? That's a Doctor Who reference if you didn't know. God, look at the CGI, so bad! It literally looks like a video game, like a really old video game. He's so cute. I don't know if I have a crush on Dan when he was younger or when he gets older. Is that weird? It's probably weird. Oh, come on, tell me that you hate maroon!
Like you've got one too.
And I would also like to point out that the twins during this time is hilarious because it's written somewhere that they were throwing snowballs at the back of Quirrell's turban. So when you find out at the end of it, in retrospect, you go back and you're like, they are hitting Voldemort in the face with these stupid snowballs. And now this scene is a little bit different because I always thought it was weird in the books because I think after some Quidditch game or practice or something, Harry's flying around and he sees one of them go into he sees Snape go into the forest. And so he, like, flies down low and is eavesdropping on this conversation, which I thought was really weird anyway, even in the book context. So I like the change here. They, like, join those two scenes together. So he does overhear it, but he's under the invisibility cloak, which makes more sense. Every time she touches his shoulder, I want to touch my shoulder. I'm like, yeah, I feel you. You're there. There's a moment in the book he asks Dumbledore what he sees in the mirror. And he says he sees himself holding a pair of fuzzy woolen socks. And I'm like, yep, that's me. I love socks. Now, this whole section with the stupid dragon is a little bit longer, so I understand why it's condensed. But it's also really sad that Neville is not in this at all. Because what happens is that they all see this. Ron knows what it is because of Charlie, and he talks about it. And then it gets too big, and Hagrid can't take care of it. And so Ron writes to Charlie and tells him about the dragon and asks if he and his friends could come and get it. So they decide to come and do that. Ron was bitten by Norbert before when he got too big, and so he was in the hospital wing at the time, and so Harry and Hermione had to go and take him by themselves, and they go up to the astronomy tower. Before that time, I think one of them drops their bags or something, and Draco steals the letter and sees it and wants to get them in trouble for being out of bed. He gets McGonagall out of bed. Neville gets caught by McGonagall because he was locked outside of the... He forgets the password a lot, so he gets locked outside of the tower. And then Harry and Hermione get caught by Filch because they accidentally left the invisibility cloak at the top of the astronomy tower, which they had been under the entire time to get him up there. And so it's actually Draco, Neville, Harry, and Hermione who go into the forest. And so, like, I understand why Ron's there. You want to keep the trio together rather than breaking them up and stuff. But Neville is just so underutilized in these films. It makes me sad. I mean, this scene is kind of like pretty much short, sweet, short, and to the point. They talk about this, and then Fernandes puts Harry on his back and carries him to Hagrid, and then there's this big hoopla about him being used as a common mule by the other centaurs, and they all get mad at him, and there's some drama with the centaurs.
My scar.
He's not wrong about his scar. Oh, that reminds me, with his scar hurting and stuff, he actually starts having nightmares in this book. Like when he has all of his nightmares and he's seeing Voldemort's mind clearly and stuff later, he was already having these weird dreams beforehand. It just wasn't like prevalent as it is in the later books because Voldemort's not a being at this time. See, this works a lot better in the book than it does the movie because, like, at some point, the leg locker curse happens to Neville. Draco puts it on him, and Neville is taught by Ron how to stand up to people, and then he finally does. So you have that seed right there that he's already shown in the book to show up to stand up to people, and then he does there, but then he gets outwitted by Hermione. Oh, it's disgusting. Oh. Don't touch it. That's gross. This is where it starts to show, like, that Hermione's more important than Ron or whatever. Because Hermione figures out what the plan is. And she figures out that, you know, obviously you need to relax and you need sunlight. And she looks around, she's like, if we had some wood, we could build a fire. And Ron goes, build a fire? Are you a witch or not? She goes, oh yeah, duh, use my wand. And then that's how they get through. Because, like I said earlier, with Harry and Hermione, because they were brought up in Muggle households, their first reaction is to think with, like, Muggle thinking. That is, like, that's been drilled into their heads for 11 years, and that's automatically their reflex. And so up to this point, with the Devil's Snare and the keys, Harry, Ron, and Hermione have had to work together all 3 times to be able to do this. There are 7 trials.
Because there's 7 books.
The first 3 they have to do together. They have to get past Fluffy, they have to get through the Devil's Snare, and they have to get through the keys. They do all those together. And then when he gets to the 4th one, which is here, it's the chess, this is where it starts to show their individual strengths. Because Ron is really, really good at chess, so he runs this one. And then after the chess game is when you get the potion riddles, which is an absolute shame that they did not put it in this. They could have honestly done maybe like the keys just a little bit different and like made it smaller and did the riddle potions, because the riddle potions is what shows Hermione's strength. Hermione's strength is, you know, she's very intelligent, it's logic, which is what she says. She says it's logic, and so she figures out the riddle and knows exactly how to go. So Harry and Hermione leave Ron there and they go forward. And then when they get to that point of the riddles, Harry goes on by himself and Hermione goes back to send messages to Dumbledore and stuff. And then so after the riddle scene is when there's another troll. Harry's like,
Well, I'm glad I didn't have to fight that one.
and so, like, yeah, Quirrell does burn, and that's when you find out, that's when Harry uses it to his advantage because Squirrel can't bear to touch him. That's in the book. This whole dusting is not. I'm pretty sure he just like keels over at some point.
Token for your admirers?
Admirers.
Again, when I was little, I always thought he said Aunt Myrus, like a person, like one person. I was like, well, if Harry has another aunt, why didn't he just, you know, stay with that person instead of the Dursleys? Admirers is what he says. Admirers. Hey guys, it's me again. I initially intended this video to be the Sorcerer's Stone and the Chamber of Secrets, and apparently I had more to say than I thought I did. So I did not film my outro to begin with, so sorry about that. But here, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's / Philosopher's Stone. There's not really that much to say between the differences between the book and the film. As far as adaptation goes, I would give it an 8 or 9 out of 10. It's pretty good. I think this is why this one is such a classic. Out of all of the films, this is the one that everyone can go back to and enjoy and know that there's not that much difference. It's really well adapted. The same can't be said for some of the rest of them. The final change count is down below. Surprisingly, there are quite a few things that I actually like in this film better than the book, which is interesting. But then again, I think that if there was any film that I was going to like any of the changes, it would have been this one, or even the next one, because Chamber of Secrets is not my favorite book at all. It's actually my least favorite, but that doesn't mean it's any less great, it's just it's not my favorite. I think this one has to be the most iconic and the most well-adapted film out of the bunch, so I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Yeah, I don't really have that much to say. So the next one will be Chamber of Secrets, and we'll see how that one differs. Until then, bye-bye!